Hey everyone, this is Jason Dunn from Digital Home Thoughts, and this is my review video of the Dell Studio 14Z. In my previous video I called it a Dell Inspiron 14Z, and it's actually not. The Dell Inspiron 14 is a completely separate product, different notebook than this one, which is of course the Dell Studio 14Z. So sorry for getting that a little bit mixed up. Now, I've had this laptop for about 2.5 weeks now, so I've had a little while to play with it, test it, benchmark it, do some battery tests with it, and really put it through its paces. And my overall conclusion is that I like it quite a bit. So, one of the things that I know people ask about is the boot time. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn it on, and then you can watch it as it boots up here. And in the meantime, you can see this nice little reflection from my camera. So a couple things about the battery first off. So I did quite a bit of battery benchmark testing. One of the battery tests that I did, I call it the Lord of the Rings test. So what I did was I ripped Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, so the first movie, ripped it to an H.264 video file at sort of standard DVD resolution, about 2,000 kilobits per second. And I'm actually going to pause here because I want you to see something. The camera, or the laptop has a camera on it, and this is the face recognition. So you see this little box right up here? It's trying to recognize my face. It works maybe 20% of the time, so I'm not even going to bother testing it because frankly it isn't very impressive. And one of the things I don't like about it is the fact that I don't know, it's pretty ugly. Like it's not integrated with the overall Windows Vista experience, which I don't really particularly like. So let me just zoom out here. Now, getting back to the battery test that I had mentioned. So the Lord of the Rings battery test. Basically, I just hit play, and then I, stand back and I put on a timer and I wait and I see how much of the movie it can get through. It's of course a very long movie. It's well over 3 hours, the extended edition, and so I think this is kind of an interesting test, to see if you can actually watch a really long movie on a notebook's battery. And speaking of the battery, I should point out this is the 6-cell battery that I have. Now, Dell does have an 8-cell battery. And at the time I ordered this notebook from Dell, Dell of course doesn't tell you if the 8-cell battery sticks out the back, and I assumed that it did. Well, it turns out that it doesn't. So the 8-cell battery is absolutely the battery you want to go for. If you're in Canada, I think it's about a $50 upcharge. If you're in the United States, it's actually the only option you have available. So the 8-cell battery is I think it's 74 watt hours, which is 32% more battery life than the 6-cell. So essentially the numbers I'm giving you here, if you get the 8-cell battery, you can basically up them by about 32%. So for the Lord of the Rings battery test, it lasted for 2 hours and 28 minutes, and that was at 100% screen brightness with Wi-Fi off. Now obviously if you lower the screen, you're going to be able to probably be able to watch the whole thing, but at that resolution or at that brightness, it's 2 hours and 28 minutes. I also did a movie trailer test where I took a 720p movie trailer, and actually I think I can even bring it up on screen here. And the movie trailer essentially just looped. Now, so this is a high definition trailer, which of course means that the CPU is going to be working harder to play it back. And that was proven out with a battery time of 2 hours and 6 minutes. So 2 hours and 6 minutes for 720p content versus 2 hours and 28 minutes for DVD resolution content. And so that should tell you a little bit of something, that when the CPU is having to work a little bit harder, that means of course that you're going to get a little bit less battery life. So I'm going to fire up this trailer, and it's probably going to be a little bit loud. Some of you like hearing how the speakers sound.
From the corrupt minds that brought you Pulp Fiction and American Psycho. But pretend to be a vampire.
Alright, so those are the speakers at 100% volume. So hopefully that was enough of a test for some of you. The speakers go quite loud for being a laptop, so that's not bad at all. Now, the last battery test that I did was what I called the browsing test. So essentially, I opened up the web browser, I went to youtube.com, and I started watching some YouTube videos, and I also opened up WordPad and started just sort of, you know, doing some typing. As you can see, it's taking a few seconds to connect. So I started doing some typing, and I just sort of did what I would call sort of a basic multitasking kind of thing. Now, the battery test with the video playback, it lasted 2 hours and 13 minutes. Now during that time, I watched 6 YouTube HD videos, which had a total length of about 70 minutes. So that's a little bit over an hour of high def you know, YouTube kind of flash-based content. And of course, Wi-Fi was on because I was browsing the web. There was also, the screen was at 100% brightness. And so that'll give you a little bit of idea. Now you see most of these battery times, everything so far, of course, is well over 2 hours. So if you get that 8-cell battery, you can add about, like I said, about 32% on there. So overall, I would say the battery life on this notebook is actually pretty good. It's also worth noting that, of course, this is the screen here is the 900p screen, which is 1600 pixels this way and 900 pixels tall. So this is a 16 by 9 ratio screen. If you look at the aspect ratio here, you can see that it basically matches your high definition television set, for example. Now, in terms of benchmarks, so I ran a program called PCMark Vantage. PCMark Vantage is a industry standard benchmarking program. Now I'm going to let it load here. I'm going to rattle off some of these specs. I'll put them up on the video after I edit it, and you can take a look and sort of compare them to your own computer. So the PCMark Vantage is free. You can get it from PCMark.com, and the best thing you can do actually is download the software yourself, install it on your own computer, benchmark your computer, and then compare it to the numbers that I'm about to give you, and that'll give you an idea of the overall performance of the computer. So here we go. The PCMark Suite score was 3,824. The Memory Suite was 2,458. The TV and Movie Suite was 2,702. Gaming Suite was 2,915. Music Suite was 3,628. Communication Suite was 4,237, Productivity Suite was 4,100, and the Hard Drive Test Suite was 3,672. So again, those numbers don't really mean anything in abstract, but if you benchmark your own computer or you have an idea about how your own computer performs, you can, of course, run the software and do the comparison for yourself. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention was the screen on this. So I absolutely am really impressed with the screen on this. I'm actually going to turn off my 2 lamps here, and these are some pictures that I've taken, and it's just gonna go through a little slideshow here. Now, of course, quality is always relative because you're seeing this on your computer screen, you know, in a compressed flash video. But if you're watching this in high def and you're looking at the colors and everything like that, hopefully you can see that the screen actually looks really good. So again, this is the 900p option, which of course is a little bit more money, but if you want to have a really beautiful high resolution screen, I absolutely recommend this option. I've been really impressed with the color, the clarity, the contrast, and the overall color accuracy of the screen on the 14Z. So good job to Dell on that. Oh, and I should point out, I got the backlit keyboard. So you might not be able to tell here, I'll zoom in a little bit, but basically, oh, my camera's having trouble focusing. And essentially, the keyboard is backlit, so that means there's actually a light underneath the keys here, so you can use it in the dark. So that is actually a great feature. I'm really happy that Dell offered an option to do that. So we'll add a little bit more light into the situation here. Now, so really good screen. I'm really impressed that Dell managed to pull that off. One of the other cool things is there's a program called VReveal. Now this is a program that I downloaded, so to be clear, it does not come with a laptop. Now the reason I'm showing you this is because the Dell laptop has the GeForce 9400M-G graphics processor in it. Okay, now what that means is that you can actually use CUDA-based applications. CUDA is NVIDIA's programming language for using acceleration of the graphics card for general purpose computing. What the hell does that mean? Well, what it means is that this is a video editing application, or rather a video enhancing app. You feed your crappy cell phone videos, your old videos, you know, whatever, you feed it into this program, it'll actually sharpen it, clean up the video, adjust the contrast, do all this other really cool stuff. And because this laptop has the 9000 series GeForce graphics card, you can actually use it to greatly accelerate things. So I was playing with some videos today, and I was saving, you know, editing like a 5-minute long video and outputting it, I was saving like 10-12 minutes on the whole process. So it's really cool to have, this is the first time I've used a laptop that's had a 9000 series graphics card that I've used this special type of software with. Now let me show you something else here. We're over the 10-minute mark now, so that means this is going to be a YouTube exclusive video. I'm not going to be able to distribute it to any of the other websites out there, but you know, who cares? So this is a program called ProShow Gold. Now this software does not come with this computer. Again, I want to make that clear. But this is a benchmarking program, and what it does, it's essentially a slideshow software. So you know, I drag my photos down here, it imports them, and then I kick it out as a 1080p high definition video file. And so one of the things I wanted to do, of course, was to figure out, you know, how well this computer works at editing video, outputting high definition video. So this machine output the video file in 3 minutes and 24 seconds at a speed of 0.29x. Now that's just the speed that ProShow assigns to it. Now what's kind of interesting, and actually I'll just pause here for a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually kick off the video that I output. So as you can tell, this is just an evaluation copy. So it put it out in 3 minutes and 24 seconds. My Intel Core 2 Quad desktop computer at 2.84 gigahertz, so it's overclocked, it put it out in 1 minute and 38 seconds. So this laptop was more than twice as slow as my desktop computer, but my desktop computer has 4 cores. This laptop only has 2 cores, and it's also a difference of 440 megahertz in terms of speed. Now, by way of comparison, an Intel Atom processor, so the HP Mini 1000, it took 13 minutes and 32 seconds. So if you've been curious about, you know, the performance of netbooks, that tells you a lot. So again, this machine here, 3 minutes and 24 seconds, Intel Atom processor at 1.6 gigahertz, 13 minutes and 32 seconds, and also just for comparison's sake, the HP DV2, another laptop I've looked at recently, the 1.6 gigahertz AMD Turion processor, it did it in 7 minutes and 3 seconds. So again, the processor that I chose on this particular unit was the P8600 at 2.4 gigahertz. So that just gives you a bit of an idea about how overall benchmarking works on this particular unit. Now, I'm going to show you something else. Actually, here, I'll do this off camera. So, this is the memory card reader. You remember in my first video I had mentioned that it was cracked. So the original one, there was actually a big crease running down the middle here. Well, after 2 phone calls and an hour of my wasted time, Dell Canada finally was able to ship me the right part. Okay, and this is actually what it looks like. So essentially, it just goes in the side here like this. You pop it in. It takes quite a bit of force. Now the first time I put this in, I put it in and it popped out immediately. And that actually resulted in this memory card reader error. I'm just going to zoom in on it because it's actually kind of funny. So this is what I got when I was trying to install it. Basically, because I put it in and ejected it before it finished installing, it wouldn't install. And in fact, it never would install. I actually had to use System Restore to roll back my computer before I could get this stupid thing to work. So it's been more than a little bit frustrating. It does work though. You can put SD cards in here, and everything will work without a problem. It's an 8-in-1, so I think it probably supports SD cards as well as probably memory stick and probably XD cards with an adapter. I pretty much only use compact flash and SD cards, so yeah, I'm not exactly sure what other formats it supports, but there's obviously 8 of them. Now, another thing, and this is one of the kind of downsides to this laptop as far as I'm concerned. Now, this isn't going to impact very many people, but I'm going to mention it because it matters to me. This is an Express 34 card slot. Okay, now what that means is that it's there's 34 and there's 54. So 54 is actually the wider slot. Now, I use digital SLRs. I have a Nikon D300, which is a fantastic camera. It uses compact flash memory. I have an Express54 card adapter that fits in my XPS M1330 laptop. Well, guess what? It won't fit in this slot. So essentially, I have no way to load up compact flash memory cards in this laptop because Dell chose to go with the smaller of the two standards. I would have loved it if they went with the bigger one, but since they didn't, my only choice is to actually carry a USB-based memory card reader with me, which really sucks. So again, that's not going to impact everyone, but something that I did in fact want to mention. Now, another fun thing is a blue screen of death. So I actually saw this today. I opened up the lid on the laptop and it just spontaneously crashed. It gave me a blue screen of death, an IRQL not less or equal to error. So I don't actually know what caused this. Windows Vista didn't know what caused it. It's the only time that it's happened to me since I've been using this, but it is, a little bit disconcerting. Windows Vista doesn't blue screen very easily. Recovers from a lot of things, including driver crashes, quite handily. So it was more than a little bit surprising, to see this blue screen. So I don't know. It might just be a little bit of a immature BIOS from Dell. This is obviously this is the first version of this laptop, and so maybe they need to do a bit of tweaking. Now, another thing I'm going to mention, since people always ask about gaming, now I'm not much of a gamer, but I did download and install the Dell, sorry, I downloaded and installed, I'm trying to figure out how to mute the audio here. There we go, audio muted. I downloaded and installed Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. So this is simply the demo version. Now, here's what I want to point out. The resolution on the screen, right? So it's 1600 this way, 900 this way. So it's higher resolution. The higher the resolution, the harder the graphics processor has to work. I tried playing this at 1600 by 900, which is the, of course, the standard resolution, with its default settings, okay, and it was really, really slow. You could tell that I was probably only getting like 10 or maybe 15 frames per second. So that really didn't work out so well. But what I did was I actually went into the settings and turned off anti-aliasing. So that means that it's a little bit jagged, but as you can see, the frame rate is actually pretty good. It works out pretty well. It's pretty smooth, and of course you can of course download or down step the resolution, to something lower, so that if you want to. Sorry, I'm babbling here. You can down step the resolution so that you can up step the anti-aliasing and the other types of settings. So there you go. There's a little bit of a gaming demo. And one of the last things I wanted to mention, there's actually two more things. The function key in the BIOS. So someone had mentioned here that when you look at the function keys here, so this function key turns on and off your Wi-Fi. This is the battery. This adjusts your screen brightness, etc., on down the line here. By default, these function keys don't actually function as function keys. And what that means is that if you get a 14Z and you boot it up and you press the brightness thing here, it'll actually adjust the brightness, as opposed to having to hold down the function key like this, hold down the function key, and then using your other finger to adjust it here. So now some of the more geeky among us actually probably prefer to have the function keys because, we like hitting F2 to rename a file, we like hitting F3 to search or whatever. And so some people found that irritating potentially. But if you go into the BIOS, you can actually reverse it so that the function key is on by default. And what that means is that, when you press F2, it really is F2. So that is, of course, not an issue at all, totally solved. Now, I'm going to show you one other thing, and it's going to be a little bit hard to demonstrate here on this particular stand that I have, but watch this. Okay, so you see how the laptop kind of moves up and down over here? If I do it over here, there's really not very much movement at all. When this laptop is on a completely flat surface, this corner here, there's quite a bit of flex in it, or not flex, meaning the bottom part, it's not perfectly aligned. So when I go to put my hands on it to start typing, this whole section will kind of rock a little bit when it's on a flat surface. So what that means is that somehow this chassis is not perfectly flat. It has these little legs right here, you know, for evening things out, but they don't particularly work. And so I think on this particular unit that I purchased, there might be a little bit of flex in the chassis. So as you can imagine, that's kind of irritating, because every time I went to type on it, I would do this, and I would feel the left hand kind of fall a little bit. And of course, that's pretty irritating, and it's not normal. That's definitely not something that this model should be doing. And so it looks like Dell just kind of sent me a bum unit. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm probably going to end up returning it. That issue, the issue with the 8-cell battery, that I didn't know that I could order one, and a couple other minor things. This isn't a super good fit for me because of that compact flash issue. But I think that's all I have to say about how the unit works in general. So I'm just going to zoom out for a second here. Now, overall, I would actually say that I'm really quite impressed with this notebook. The 900p screen option looks fantastic. It's got a great screen. The backlit keyboard is great. I really like the layout of the keyboard. The keys are great, good play. Down here, the touchpad, I like the fact that the buttons don't take a lot of force. You know, they're really sensitive. They work really well. You can get a good fast processor in here, a good fast big 7200 RPM hard drive. The fact that it has a 9000 series GeForce card, equally awesome. So, you know, overall, I'm actually really impressed with this notebook in general. Like I said, I think though, because of this weird kind of problem that I have and how it's actually uneven, I'm not going to probably be keeping this one, so keep that in mind when you're asking me any questions. But hopefully this extremely long video has been helpful to you. I hope that you have you know, it's answered all your questions about the Dell 14Z. Overall, like I said, I really like this laptop. I like the finish. I like the fact that it's not a fingerprint magnet. You know, I can do this and the laptop still looks really good. So I would honestly recommend this laptop to pretty much anyone. It's a great performer. It's pretty thin. You know, it's not super thin, but it's pretty thin for its size. It's not too heavy for its size. Overall, the performance is quite impressive. The specs are impressive. It's not too expensive. I mean, this version I got here was a little bit over $1,300, but of course you can get one, I think, for maybe $7.99. I'll have to verify that later. But yeah, overall it's a really good product. It's a good notebook. Just of course make sure that the one that you get, make sure that if you get that memory card reader like this guy here, make sure that Dell doesn't send you a broken one. And again, you know, hopefully if you go out and buy one of these, you won't have the same little kind of weird unstable problem that I have here. So it's been Jason Dunn from Digital Home Thoughts. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, you know, post a comment, rate the video, check out the ads that are around this video here, check out the sidebar over here for the specifications about this unit. Yeah, that's all. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.